24 missile strikes, and India has struck at 9 nerve centers of terrorism inside Pakistan and in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. Multiple videos have been released by India showing our armed forces striking terror camps, and these were camps linked to Jaish-e-Mohammed and Lashkar-e-Taiba, which have been destroyed and targeted. This is for the first time that India has released visuals of targets decimated under Operation Sindoor, which was meant to avenge deadly April 22nd attack in Jammu and Kashmir's Pahalgam.
In India's history of anti-terror operations on Pakistan, at least Pakistan-occupied Kashmir and Pakistan, this is possibly the deepest India has struck Pakistani terror operations, or at least the terror infrastructure in Pakistan. The strikes began at the dead of the night and were carried out for about 25 minutes from 1:05 a.m. to 1:30 a.m. No Pakistani military installation, and this is very, very important, no Pakistani military installation or civilian infrastructure or even economic installations and infrastructure was destroyed or targeted by India. India has underscored its efforts to distinguish between anti-terror operations and full-scale military aggression. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Narendra Modi monitored this entire operation, ladies and gentlemen, through the night. Later, he also briefed the President of India. His political will was lauded by his cabinet colleagues. Now, all eyes on Pakistan, on how this plays out from here on.
And Rajnath Singh has spoken out. He has praised the Indian Armed Forces. Let's listen in, and also to Foreign Secretary who briefed the media.
जैसी कि आप सबको जानकारी है कि कल रात हमारी भारतीय सेनाओं ने अपने अद्भुत शौर्य और पराक्रम का परिचय देते हुए एक नया इतिहास रच दिया है। तो हम कह सकते हैं एक तरीके की सटीकता, सतर्कता और मानवीयता यह हमारी भारत की सेना के जवानों ने दिखाई है, जिसके लिए मैं हमारे सेना के जवानों और अधिकारियों को पूरे देश की ओर से मैं साधुवाद देता हूं। हमने केवल उन्हीं को मारा जिन्होंने हमारे मासूमों को मारा। हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी के मार्गदर्शन में हमारी भारत की सेना ने हम सभी भारतवासियों का मस्तक ऊंचा किया।
Earlier this morning, as you would be aware, India exercised its right to respond and preempt as well as deter more such cross-border attacks. These actions were measured, non-escalatory, proportionate, and responsible. They focused on dismantling the terrorist infrastructure and disabling terrorists likely to be sent across to India. You would also recall that the Security Council on 25th April 2025 had issued a press statement on the Pahalgam terror attack, underlining, and I quote, the need to hold perpetrators, organizers, financiers, and sponsors of this reprehensible act of terrorism accountable and bring them to justice, unquote. India's latest actions should be seen in this context.
Through precision capability, as shown to you, a niche technology weapons with careful selection of warheads was ensured so that there will be no collateral damage. The point of impact in each of the target was a specific building or a group of buildings. All the targets were neutralized with clinical efficiency, and the results reiterate the professionalism of the Indian Armed Forces in the planning and execution of their operations. No military establishments were targeted. India has demonstrated considerable restraint in its response. However, it must be said that the Indian Armed Forces are fully prepared to respond to Pakistani misadventures, if any.
ऑपरेशन सिंदूर 22 अप्रैल को पहलगाम में हुए विभत्स आतंकवादी हमले के शिकार मासूम नागरिकों व उनके परिवारों को न्याय देने के लिए लॉन्च किया गया था। इस कार्रवाई में 9 टेररिस्ट कैंप्स को टारगेट किया गया और पूरी तरह से इसे बर्बाद किया गया। पाकिस्तान में पिछले 3 दशकों से टेरर इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर का निर्माण हो रहा है। इसमें रिक्रूटमेंट, इंडॉक्ट्रिनेशन सेंटर्स, ट्रेनिंग एरियाज व लॉन्च पैड शामिल थे, जो पाकिस्तान और पाक अधिकृत जम्मू कश्मीर POJK दोनों में फैले हैं। इन लक्ष्यों का चयन विश्वसनीय इंटेलिजेंस सूचनाओं के आधार पर हुआ, ताकि आतंक गतिविधियों की रीढ़ तोड़ी जा सके, और यह खास ध्यान दिया गया कि निर्दोष नागरिकों और सिविलियन इंस्टॉलेशन को नुकसान न पहुंचे।
And joining me now on this special broadcast, in fact joining Ankit and me at this special broadcast, is Nazir Masood. He has been tracking all the developments from ground zero in Jammu and Kashmir. We also have Admiral Arun Prakash, former Chief of Navy Staff. I'm coming to you, Nazir, first. Nazir, where you are, there is this sense, it's an uneasy calm as the sun sets. There is this sense also that perhaps the shelling could begin, and Pakistan could resort to what has been, a visual which came in through the day of regular targeting of civilians.
Well, after seeing the plight of people living the line of control, everybody is really disturbed here in Kashmir. What will happen this night, and everybody hopes that it will be the end of this confrontation. The way Pakistan targeted innocent civilian population, be it Tangdar, where you see besides residential houses, there's massive destruction of the shops and business establishments. So people are losing their home, becoming homeless, and they're becoming jobless, losing their livelihood as well. And the worst hit is Poonch, where 10 civilians have been killed. Around 40 are injured. Houses, business establishments, religious places have been targeted. So on one hand, India says it has only targeted terror, installations or terror sites, and did not attack any military installation or civilian population. But on the other side, we could see from Pakistan, it was heavy pounding artillery on the civilian areas and the defense establishments also. So it is going to be a very, very night, which may be long one, because at around 1 last night, we could hear sirens, we could hear massive air activity in Srinagar and other parts of the valley. And then what followed was heavy artillery people have not seen for a long, long time. People have gone back to the bunkers, and administration has today taken so many people to these community bunkers and the schools, to safer areas. Chief Minister Abdullah held emergency meeting with the DCs of border districts. So did the Jammu and Kashmir's Lieutenant Governor. Both had common things to ensure that people are taken to safety. There are no loss of lives, and also those who have been affected are given first, relief, some sort of relief and food and shelter to save their lives. Universities have postponed their exam till 10th of this month, and Srinagar Airport, there would not be any civilian flights till 10th of this month. So even the Hajj flights have been, cancelled from Srinagar. A large number of people who are going for the pilgrimage, their pilgrimage has also been affected because of fear of Pakistani shelling and missile attacks.
Nazir, it's been a very, very long, difficult day for people on the line of control and the international border, where the artillery, action is taking place from the Pakistani side, responded by India. Remember, on NDTV, we are trying to bring you all authentic information. It's been 15 hours of continuous coverage here on the broadcast. Let me very quickly go across to Admiral Arun Prakash. Sir, thank you for speaking to us. I want to start by asking you at this moment, all eyes, not only of the people in our country, but also across the globe, is on what happens from here on. We had the right to respond. Pakistan also claims that they would possibly also engage in some sort of escalation. What do you expect going on from here, the scenario, sir?
Well, this was something that the nation had been expecting for a long time, and the Prime Minister has lived up to his promise of visiting retribution and punishment on the perpetrators of the barbaric attack that took place in Pahalgam on 22nd of last month. Now, this is a message to those who conducted or the terror organizations who are behind this cross-border terrorism. But it is also a message to those who train, support, and finance these organizations, which is the Pakistan Army and the intelligence services of Pakistan, otherwise known as the Pak Deep State. This is actually a message for them that we have carried out a punishing series of attacks on these camps and so on. But the message is for them that stop this kind of activity in the future. So, having undertaken attacks on 9 of these terror sites with pinpoint accuracy, ensuring that only the perpetrators are punished and no military targets have been aimed at, nor any civilian casualties have taken place. Now, having done that, the ball is in Pakistan's court. Either it takes the message that India is trying to send, that this should be the end of cross-border terror activities financed, encouraged by the Pakistani deep state, or the options are still open. India can continue to hammer Pakistan with further strikes. The ball is in Pakistan's court. Either it accepts this message, or it is up to them to decide what they want to do next.
Yes.
And of course, escalation is a possibility for which we must be prepared. I'm sure we are prepared for the next step, whatever it may be.
Admiral Prakash, India has gone ahead. In fact, I would say armed forces have gone ahead and destroyed hubs of Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed. They have been the proxies which have been involved in attacks, multiple attacks, which have been carried out on Indian soil. In terms of our capabilities, the military precision with which it has been carried out, what are you sensing? I mean, how significant it is, and also if you can give us a sense of the artillery and the weapons that were used.
Well, artillery, etc., is on the line of control, as we've just heard from your representative in Kashmir. But the attacks which were carried out on the 9 targets, from what one learns from the media, have been carried out by fighter-borne, aircraft-borne guided missiles. And it speaks very well of the capability of the Indian Air Force that we have weapons which can be launched from within Indian territory, which have the range to attack targets deep inside Pakistan, not just in POK, but also deep in Pakistan. They have the range and they have the accuracy to destroy these targets with pinpoint accuracy without much collateral damage. So it speaks volumes for the capability and the planning and the efficiency of our forces.
Sir, can I, before I let you go, can I very quickly specifically ask you a question about the naval preparations as far as the scenario which is playing out? Though at this moment we know that we are facing the artillery attack from Pakistan, some sort of retaliation on the LOC and the international border. Air Force, of course, has conducted these strikes inside Pakistan, the missile strikes. The Navy would also play a very important role in deterrence for whatever Pakistan's plans are from here on.
Well, one expects that there is a strategy in place, and that strategy is a calibrated, stepwise. So step 1 has been taken. Now we have to wait for how Pakistan respond, whether they acknowledge the message that we are trying to send to them or they try to retaliate. So this will be a calibrated and graduated response on the ladder of escalation. The Navy has a role to play depending on what the government of India wants to do. The Navy has a role to play. It can contribute to the kinetic attack. I mean, the Navy has long-range land attack missiles, it has aircraft and so on. It can contribute in the kinetic attack. The Navy can also play a part on the economic front by trying to strangulate Pakistan's trade, economy, trade, energy, etc., which is Pakistan has a small coast and a few ports, and it is almost entirely dependent on seaborne imports. So the Navy can certainly interfere with their seaborne traffic, and bring tremendous economic pressure on Pakistan to further reinforce the message that the government is trying to send across to Pakistan.
All right, Admiral Prakash, really appreciate your time here on NDTV, and joining us now is the Lieutenant General Subrata Saha, and also Tilak Devashir, who is the author of Pakistan Quoting the Abyss. He's joining us, and a member of National Security Advisory Board. He is. I'm going to come to you, Lieutenant General Subrata Saha here. The armed forces used precision weapons from deep within the Indian territory. So they were very much on our side. They really did not cross the line of control or international border. The arsenal included air-launched Scalp cruise missiles, hammer precision guided bombs and loitering munition. The choice of weapons, the choice of missiles, how do you look at it? The message is clear that there was a lot of planning which had gone into it and calibrated surveillance which was ensured that when it comes to the target, they were identified and then destroyed.
See, first of all, I think it's important to go back to the press release at 1:44 a.m. Last night. If you read the message, it gives out very categorically that we have, as you've highlighted yourself, made a very focused, measured, non-escalatory strikes at the terrorist infrastructure. And it goes on to state that military targets have not been targeted, military installations have not been targeted. So, in fact, in that message is a message for the Pakistani establishment that should you choose to escalate, next will be your military installations. So if you see, the whole exercise has been done utilizing very precise munitions so that minimum, collateral damage, precision attacks on terrorist infrastructure, and reserve the right to escalate as per your design, as per your strategy, i.e., keep control on the escalation ladder. What has not been stated in the press release is the fact that should you choose to escalate further, next will be the attacks on your economic targets. And given the state of Pakistan, if India chooses to strike at the economic targets, it is going to be disastrous. So therefore, the broader strategy is quite clear on how it is, the whole thing is possibly going to pan out. And it is for the analysts to read and understand how this whole operation is evolving. Now look at the way Pakistan is responding. You strike at innocent civilians in Pahalgam. And now again, you're striking at innocent civilians along the line of control. Of course, the government has announced mock drills across the country. I think equally important is the fact that Pakistan will now try to activate some sleeper cells that they have, across the length and breadth of our country. So I think it is important through your medium to sort of, tell all our countrymen, tell all our fellow countrymen to be very, very careful, because in all such scenarios, actually the first responder is the citizen on the ground who are first, should they watch and find anything which is suspicious. And every agency, whether it is the beat policeman, whether it's the, state police, central agencies, everybody has a role to play. And so there is a requirement of being extremely cautious as we go along, because Pakistan and its agencies, we are quite, we should be cognizant of the fact that they are quite capable of, going to any depths to try and strike back. But then on the larger scheme of things, I think we have to be prepared, especially in the next 24 to 48 hours,
right,
to get a kind of a military response, which may be coming in the zone of military installations.
Absolutely.
Unless some friends of Pakistan insert some sanity in the minds of their leadership, particularly the Pakistani chief, who has gone completely berserk. You heard his speech.
Absolutely. And sir, we have seen how India has also, made that diplomatic offensive, have spoken out, reached out to other countries. Hopefully, many of them, as the Secretary of State of the United States has said, that he has also spoken to the Pakistani establishment, drilling some sense in them. But Tilak Deveshwar, sir, I just want to understand from you, because you understand Pakistan very, very well. You've written extensively about it. If Pakistan chooses to take the escalation ladder, it's very clearly India has only targeted the terror infrastructure in Pakistan. Pakistan would also risk as being seen backing these terrorists actively across the globe. I mean, it's not that they're civilian or military installations which have been hit, but the terror infrastructure, the headquarters in Pakistan, which at this moment has faced the brunt of Indian attack.
Yeah, first of all, thank you for having me on your show. You see, Pakistan has a dilemma. India targeted terror training camps in Pakistan. There are no equivalent terror training camps in India. Right? So what does Pakistan target? Either civilian or they target military installations. Now, Pakistan will have to react, and I think they will react within 24 to 36 hours, because they have to show to their own people that there is equivalence, that if India does something, they can go to hit India back. But that's where, as I mentioned, the dilemma. What do they target? And if they make a mistake, and if they target either civilians or military, then the retaliation and the escalation from India will be much more severe than what it has happened in the first round. So I think the next 24 to 36 hours are going to be very, very critical, unless, of course, Pakistan does a very foolish thing by targeting one of the dams, not realizing that the water will flow into Pakistan and won't flow back into India. Or what they did in Balakot, that you drop your munitions in a deserted area, claim equivalence, and then the whole crisis draws down. Now, I can't second guess what Pakistan is going to do, but the fact that they will do something is definite. Next 24 to 36 hours, they will react, and let's wait and watch how they react. I think India is prepared. The Indian armed forces are absolutely prepared for whatever Pakistan can throw at us.
Okay, since you're saying that they will react, so perhaps Lieutenant General Subrata Saha will be able to decode that for us. Today was also the day of mock drills which were carried out throughout the country, Lieutenant General Saha. So there is a sense of preparedness. Home Minister Amit Shah has also chaired a meeting which included chief ministers of all border states in attendance. So the messaging is in terms of preparations, India has to be prepared. Along those districts particularly which are along the LOC, the schools were shut today, educational institutions shut. But India has been saying clearly that no Pakistani military installations were directly targeted. India has made that distinction between anti-terror operations and full-scale military aggression as well. Do you think Pakistan can continue to be an aggressor even now, given the kind of international pressure it is facing?
You see, if there is sane leadership, your statement is true. But if we are seeing the behavior of the chief of the Pakistan army particularly, and I was referring exactly to his speech which he was making to the non-resident Pakistani, I have not come across any speech by previous Pakistan army chief, including President Musharraf, a speech of that kind. So unless, there is some kind of a sanity prevailing in the system through some good sense coming in via friends of Pakistan, or don't be surprised if some sane corps commander supported by other elements within Pakistan take over from this fellow, which is, you cannot rule that out because Pakistan is a very fractured polity as we speak today. Don't rule out anything. Then you might see a change. But if this insanity continues, don't be surprised if the retaliation comes. And that's exactly what I think Tilak is also pointing out, and I also pointed out. We should be expecting a response because even Shahbaz Sharif, in the wee hours of the morning today, in his first reaction, where he admits to 5 sites having been, attacked, he says we will retaliate. Of course, later in the day, the defense minister seems to be climbing down from the high and hot horse of a couple of days before and talking about climbing down.
Yes.
The point is, there is that urge to retaliate both in the political leadership and, of course, the Pakistan Army chief. So it is reasonable to expect some kind of an insane kind of a response.
Yes.
So
And I think-
that's exactly what we are talking about.
And I think what Pakistan Army Chief will decide will go as far as Pakistan is concerned. He's the most important person when it comes to deciding all these matters, not the civilian leadership. But Mr. Deveshwar, let me very quickly take one response from you. Like we've been speaking about, yes, of course, Pakistan Army would want to use this once again to whip up some support for itself, which was dwindling. Attacks in Baluchistan on the Pakistani army, demoralizing them as well. But one question that a lot of people are asking: can Pakistan even afford it? Yes. On the line of control, we are seeing intense bombardment from Pakistani side using the artillery guns. But beyond that, how much can Pakistan afford? It's already in doldrums as far as economy is concerned. How much can Pakistan extend this?
That's a very good question. I don't have a definite answer, but I think circumstantial evidence would suggest that even this mobilization that Pakistan has done, moving troops from Peshawar and from Quetta, they do not have the wherewithal to sustain. Earlier, they could sustain a war for 14 or 15 days in 65 and in 71. I don't think so. They have that capacity today. Take the case of fuel, POL. I was shocked to read that 14% of Pakistan's petrol and diesel is actually smuggled from Iran. In about 3,000 oil tankers every day, about 5 to 6 million liters of petrol and diesel is smuggled from Iran. Now, this is if your war fighting capability is dependent on smuggled fuel, how much do you think they are going to be able to sustain a long, a war of duration of even more than a week? So I think they are very vulnerable. And typically Pakistan, typically Punjabi Pakistan, it's all bluff and bluster, talking about nuclear. You see, there's no other country in the world, and nobody in India certainly talks about nuclear weapons as war-fighting weapons. People just use it as a deterrence and keep quiet about it. Pakistan is the only country which sways, like even the defense minister said, that if we are threatened, we will make sure that the world ceases to exist. I mean, this is a red flag to the rest of the world. So coming back to your question, I think Pakistan does not have the wherewithal and the capacity to sustain a war or even a serious exchange with India for more than 4 days to a week.
Very important that
Point being made
distinction,
there.
in fact, and that is something that would have been factored in, I'm sure, while we planned this operation, and of course, while we are waiting to see if Pakistan chooses to escalate. The ball is in their court. What they do now will define how Pakistan's future is defined from here on, Maria.
Yes, that's right. And thank you for joining us on this broadcast, Tilak Devashar and Lieutenant General Subrata Saha.